What we're voting on today is the reappointment of Carlton Giles to the Board of Pardons and Paroles here today. And I tell you, I'd much rather be talking about something else, like maybe finding more funding for Meals on Wheels or housing on, or how to actually find funding to end homelessness. But again, we come back to this particular issue, which really pains me. But I've had a little bit of time to think about it, so unlike the last time we had members before us that I voted no for their commentation of decisions that they made, I've had a little bit of time to reflect, gather my thoughts, and try to keep my emotions in check. Because for me, it's a very emotional decision, but there's more than the emotional aspect to this. Let's just talk about the policies and why we should vote yes or no. I voted no for those other two people recently, and Mr. Giles was the chairman at that time. So I am certainly going to vote no, because I might be a lot of things. People may call me a lot of things, but I am not a hypocrite. I voted no for them, and I will vote no for him as well. And it's been noted by the ranking member of the Judiciary Committee and Representative O'Day, and really certainly expounded upon by Representative Baker about how good a man he is. I agree with that. I really, really like this man. He's not just a good man, he's a really good man. He's done some great work that has been enumerated by a few people here. And one that I didn't hear was the fact that he actually worked with a lot of people in expunging their records. While sometimes they would take a process of a year and a half, 14 months, 10 months, he really helped a lot of people get those records expunged very quickly, much more quickly, in a matter of a couple months in some instances, which made all the world to a lot of people. So that was one of the great things he really did. But has already been reflected here, this is not about Carlton Giles, the person. This is about his decisions on this board. And certainly, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something. Especially when that something is to commute the censuses of people by 20 or 30 years. I could tell you that, just to let you know where I'm coming from too, I think that the commute censuses of people convicted of nonviolent crimes, I'm all for that. Certainly any new evidence that comes forward to exonerate somebody, we should do that, and we should do that immediately. Just this couple of days ago, I visited a reentry welcome center in Waterbury, where they're opening up a new wing for people coming back to our communities from their incarceration. And I fully support that too, because now that they release these people, we certainly should make sure that they get things like jobs, housing, help with their health care. And we should make sure they're successful coming back into our communities, because if they're not successful, that's a pretty ugly picture to paint. So we should be supportive. But there's one thing missing in this whole equation, and it's been talked about by Representative Turco and others about the victims' families. We have programs that help people that have been incarcerated get acclimated, reacclimated to our communities. But can anybody here tell me what programs that we support to put in place to help the victims' families? Do we have special commission to help them with their housing or jobs or navigate healthcare? In the case of victims' families that have their breadwinner taken from them, do we help them in actually helping their families be successful? Help their families in the time of their greatest need? What do we have for them? What? Certainly, I can't think of anything that's comprehensive for those families that have lost loved ones. And if nothing else that comes out of this, and what I hope to achieve with my no vote, is that we need to address, first of all, the injustice done to the families. By releasing these people for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years commuting their sentences, that is just a total injustice. It's a slap in the face. It's adding salt to the wounds. It's causing these families to endure a hardship that no one should have to endure. Second thing I hope to achieve is real and meaningful policy change. Now, I heard of tweaking what's there. Really? We're going to offer up tweaking this? Man, that's almost as much of an insult of what's been done. Tweaking this? No. No, no, no. We need to make some meaningful change, like how to put in place something that makes sure that people who get these long sentences don't have their sentences commuted by 25 and 35 years. If you kill somebody, you pretty much forfeit your life. You shouldn't get a golden key on the back end that lets you come back in the community. I certainly do believe in reform, though. But the meaningful change I hope to get is people convicted of murder should do their time. Now, it's been said, and there's a case made that, some of these murderers that were released were 17, 18, 19, most under 25 years old. But I ask you, anyone here, if somebody killed your loved one, does it matter what age they were? Does it matter if the person who murdered your family member was 19 years old? Or 25 years old? No, these people should not be given special consideration. And were not these people having their cases in a court, and the court at that time decided these sentences? And by the way, the victim's advocate meets with the families, talks about the sentences that they get, and the families pretty much say, okay, they're getting 40 years, okay, they're getting 50 years, okay, I guess I could live with that. But to have the injustice of some board outside of the judicial system intervene, that is such an injustice. When we talk about justice in the law, Man, things like that we do cause people to lose faith in the law. And the last thing I hope to achieve with my no vote is that we really put in place programs and policies to really support the families of victims of this nature. Certainly, if we could find housing and jobs and help people returning from incarceration to have advocates to help them with health care, can we not do something for the victims' families? Can we? It's us. We have a chance to mold this and shape this and make this decision, all of us. So whether or not you vote yes today, or if you vote no today, these meaningful changes they must be put in place. I don't care if you vote yes or no today. Today is how to shape the policy to protect our families going forward. And really, it's, when you think about this, just think about this. We, as a General Assembly, are considering meaningful gun legislation that we feel is necessary to make our communities safer. Really? We are. But how do you square, how does the equation that on one side that we want to make meaningful change to keep our communities safe on one side of the equation, yet release 44 murders, how does that equation work? It does not make any sense in this world or any other, I would say, to think that we're going to make our communities safer doing these kinds of things. Oh, my goodness. And I tell you, on the news, there's so many murders on the news lately that you hear about. It just, you know what I think about when I hear these things? You know, like it's just so sad to hear about the 12-year-old girl in Hartford that was just minor business in a car and gets shot and killed. And that's a tragedy, but to find out that her father was murdered as well. So we're talking about second-generational murder. Really? Can't we do better here in Connecticut? And if we want people to feel safer in the state of Connecticut, and we do things like put policies in place to help our college students return to the state because, you know, when they go off to college, many times they don't come back. Or our retiring people, actually, we look at tax policies to actually help them stay here in the state of Connecticut because we want people who retire to stay here. Certainly, these kinds of policies in the criminal justice system doesn't endear anybody to staying here. I guess I could go in length, but I'm not going to go into some of the details, the horrific things. And we talk about, you know, we've been led to be convinced that, okay, sentences decades ago weren't appropriate, so now we should do these things to make up for it. Well, the law was the law at the time, we should respect that. Just like the law is the law right now, and we should respect it. But we need to change that policy. I implore everyone here, regardless of your yes or no vote, please, regardless of your vote, you have to demand of our General Assembly to change this policy. That has to change. So a good man like Carlton Giles doesn't find himself in a situation to make a very bad decision that was made. And I could go on for a while, but I'm not. I think I said covered most of the areas I wanted to, but really I could tell you that As much as I articulate the position that I'm articulating for victims and victims' rights, I could tell you there are families of victims out there that are just in so much pain. I don't think we know how much pain these families are going through, how much pain was inflicted to them based on these decisions. That's why we should vote no too. To let everybody else that knows that serving that this should never be done again. Finally, just consider what the state and country becomes. Just think of what the state and this country becomes when the people in our cities, our communities, feel like the law and justice is no longer working, is not serving the interests of the greater good. Just consider what happens when they get to that point. And again, I don't want people to look at me and say that, well, Representative Butler, you could naturally look at him and say that he's going to be in this position because he lost a loved one. I could tell you, I wouldn't necessarily have to experience that to have my position here today. Even if I hadn't lost a loved one, I would be standing here saying the same things. And I just hope that to get meaningful change, that 51% of these chambers don't have to experience that, if you believe that, for us to get any meaningful change. Let us do what's right by our communities. And I'm saying let's vote no to send a message, because I feel that it's been said that they hope to have the ability to tweak this after Mr. Giles is back on the board, and a tweak does not get it at all. Let's do some meaningful change. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me to share my views. I just hope that this General Assembly realizes that to keep our cities safe, to honor the victims' families, that we certainly need to do something to provide some meaningful change for the state of Connecticut. Thank you very much.